Hey there, my name is Pravus, and welcome to more IXION aboard the Tiqqun space station. We have abandoned the safe bosom of the solar system, and now find ourselves in an alien Immortan system, in our quest to follow after the Protagoras, a supership that hopefully has delivered the survivors of humanity to the exoplanet Remus. We're gonna find out. Now, this officially begins Chapter 2 of the game, and this is where the difficulty actually starts to ramp up, and you might get a little bit frantic in the very beginning. I know I am. There are a couple of new hazards we have to worry about. First off, our hull integrity continues to degrade even faster because every volt jump and every new sector just makes this worse. We now need to have a second EVA airlock if we want to be able to keep ourselves afloat. Secondly, you notice these weird patches on the map. These represent, for lack of better words, cosmic storms. And if the Tiqqun station or any smaller ship or probe were to travel through this, it would take damage, and there's a very good likelihood it would be destroyed. So we now need to be very worried about the positioning of the Tiqqun station and anything we send out to make sure it does not cross these paths unnecessarily. Now, the first thing I'm going to do is take one of our science ships and go to the Falcon 74 planet that we have found ourselves in orbit of. There's some science I need, plus some events. That'll be good. We're also going to use a probe real quick and look for something right over here. There it is. This is what I'm looking for next, and this will be a good source of another point of interest, which translates into a lot of iron. And we're going to need a lot of iron in order to keep our alloy production up and running. If for some reason you left Chapter 1 and you did not bring enough iron along, there's some sources of iron up and over here and down over here, which are relatively safe for you to access, so don't worry about that too much. Now, on the topic of science, we have access to all this Tier 2 stuff, and I do want to access a lot more of it. We want to get research on things like farms. I need more food. In fact, that's going to be a huge problem for us right now because we're only meeting 73.5% of our meal requirements. If we don't start producing more food soon, we might all die horrible, horrible deaths. The question is, do we beeline for it right now? We certainly could. If I go for the fusion station first, what we can do is take ice and turn that into water. And then once we have water, we can fuel up our crop farms and turn that into a lot of food. So much so that we'll be able to get rid of all of our insect farms, which is very good. Another thing I need pretty soon actually is going to be the optimized quarter. This is going to let us have a lot more housing and a bit more density, as well as just higher quality of life in general. It takes up the same amount of space as 2 of the crew quarters, but it houses 40 crew members instead of 30, because 15 times 2 is 30. So this is just better in general, but it's going to take 30 science. So it's a question of, can I hold off on my food long enough that I can then go for the fusion crop farms after I get everything else I need, or do we need to make a beeline right now? I'm actually inclined to think we need to make a beeline right now. So let's go for the fusion station. We don't have enough science yet, but we will pretty soon once we've dealt with a couple of events. So we might as well get some of that going. What event do we have around Falcon 74? Well, they've landed, and gravity is approximately 4.57 meters per second squared. The atmosphere is corrosive. Without shelter, we estimate our survival time to be 2 hours and 27 minutes. That's very, very specific, I gotta say. I applaud you. At the site of unusual readings, we found a huge geyser emitting gas that quickly solidifies into cubic particles upon exposure to the planet's atmosphere. So, we have some options here. We can perform an intrusive analysis, which is very fast, and just blow stuff up. As a general rule, blowing stuff up is probably not a great idea, and we're not going to get a lot of reward for this. We could set up a temporary study center for 10 alloys. This is not a very good idea because you're going to get moderate rewards and then also someone's going to die, and you lose trust, so not good. Or we could establish infrastructure to support exploration for 20 alloys. This is the best option because it gives us the best reward, and it's definitely worth the 20 alloy cost. So let's go ahead and assign one of our cargo ships and get that a-running. We should get something on the order of 60 science out of that arrangement, and that's not half bad. Let's see what's going on over in this area. There is the DOG-0202 asteroid. I'm going to send the Heisenberg over here next and find out what's going on. Now, we do need to start waking up some more humans. I really would like to get below 250 cryopods, but that's not happening anytime soon. We've got actually about 400-something overall in this station. That's actually a bit of a problem because having more than 250 unopened cryopods actually reduces stability. So pretty soon, we're actually going to go into the negative here and start losing some trust. Obviously not the best arrangement. I'll also need some additional people working in Sector 2, so I'm okay with waking some up right now, but remember, the more people we wake up, the more I have to feed. And we're already not in a great spot for our food, so we don't want to wake up too many, just enough that I think we'll be able to send them over here, and we'll be fine. All right, what do we find around the asteroid? We find a mining ship. An asteroid has the Sheptel mining ship in orbit nearby. It appears to have been pierced by a fast-moving object, killing its operator instantly. External markings indicate the Sheptel was a mining craft of the Protagoras. Perfect. Let's go ahead and extract some navigation data. That is going to be the first of 3 traces of the Protagoras that we need. Newsflash, the superstructure is not here. It is in a different area. So right now, all I'm trying to do is get enough information that we can plug in some more coordinates and make another jump. That is the big goal here. With this probe, by the way, let's go ahead and look for... I guess we could just go for some iron and ice over here. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, let's just go ahead and get that right now. We have a bunch of probes and scanning operations we need to do. This at least gives our mining ships something to do, so we're not wasting a lot of time. So I think that's worthwhile. Now, unfortunately, we do have to deal with one of these events, so let's go ahead and click on this. This is a bad thing for us. The Tiqqun has left the solar system. The crew is convinced they will never again see the stars that saw them born. This necessary step will unfortunately accentuate the dead Earth sickness. We have a permanent stability penalty. So now we're officially in the negative here in our main sector, and we are in the negative over here, or at least we're about to be, I think. It says they're happy right now. That might be true for the moment, but I don't think it's going to be true for very long. So, yeah, that means we're now losing trust. We can ignore this very briefly, but eventually we need to turn on this alternative life center, spending some of our precious alloys in an electronic to get 1 extra stability. That will be enough to keep our trust at least in the neutral/positive area, so that's going to be good enough. Let's, by the way, get rid of some of these electronics. I just want to go ahead and take care of some of that, make sure that we get these things cleared out, and make some much-needed space, because once I'm done researching this fusion platform, it's going to need a lot of space to grow. So what do we find around the asteroid? There we go, 627 iron. Yep, that is a lot, plus a couple more electronics. Now we can determine the cause of its destruction. That'll take another 3 cycles, but the most important thing is now, with the fleet, we should be able to pick up a load of iron. Actually, you know, I stand corrected. You first have to mine it. Oh, I thought that you could actually just extract it outright. Well, I am wrong on that. It's a good thing we have sent a probe over here to find another source of the iron. So both of our mining ships are going to go out here and get that. We're still fine. What do we find around Falcon 74? The theories on the geysers and phenomena have established providing 60 science. Beautiful. That's all we can do over here. We are done. Let's gather up all of that precious science. And now we actually have finished up with the fusion research. Next thing I'm going to do, get that crop farm up and running. We have a couple more events to deal with over here. I think these are actually okay for us, so let's go ahead and click on it. What do we get? All right, so this one says we have 326 cryopods. We actually have more than that in storage. It's just not totally obvious. The Tiqqun needs as many crew members as possible. This is a trap, just like opening up the Sector 2, and I don't recommend picking it up. It says, first off, awaken 100 cryopods in Sector 1 within 24 cycles. Here's the thing, you can only awaken 3 people per cycle. That means you can only do 72. So you would have to build a second cryo storage opening facility in order to fulfill this. Not worth. And even then, that's going to give me more people than I need, and it's going to take up more food than I have. So this is something we will address in time, but it is not a promise I'm willing to make right now. Over here, we have something fun. The crew members are worried about the number of hazards they're coming across in space. They would like reassurance that exploration will be conducted safely. Here you have to decide what kind of a promise you want to make. I promise nothing, we don't know what's out here. Promise that we're not going to have more than 5 people die, or promise that no one will die. I'm pretty sure I remember enough about the events that we can navigate this without anyone dying, so this should be safe for me. But if you're not feeling confident, maybe the 5? Okay, so we need to get our fusion set up over here. This is the power station. It's a pretty large structure, unfortunately. Could try fitting it somewhere like over here, and this would be okay. Yeah, I think I'll do this like so. We'll place a road through here so I have some access, because I'm probably going to put some farms off in this direction. Why do I want farms over here? Well, because one fun little thing about the Tiqqun station is you can specialize your sectors. That's not something I've unlocked yet. I'm pretty sure you have to first research the DLS center. But once you have that, you'll start getting some production boosts for various different things if you have enough of the same type of building in a sector. So for example, if we take a look here, You can see in the tooltip on the top left next to the title of Fusion Station, there's two symbols. There's one for food and there's one for industry. That means this building represents one of each type, right? If you have enough buildings, let's say 6 food buildings in the same sector, you get a production bonus. I think there's like 2 tiers of specialization bonuses you can get. So, normally what you want to do with Sector 2 is either turn this into an industrial sector, move all your mines, your factories and stuff over here, so you get a boost to your alloys, your polymers, and your electronics production, or make a whole load of food buildings over here. And the result is you'll have more food for having one specialized sector than spreading a couple of food buildings across 2 different sectors, right? So it's worth doing that. Now, the thing with the Fusion Center is I know I'm going to have ice, and I'm going to turn that into water. It makes sense to then take that water and immediately move it over to some local farms. Hence why I'm placing these things the way that I am. Let's find out what we get over here with this mining platform. It was hit by a projectile intentionally. The shell bears the emblem of the UN. And the word, Etemenanki. Don't know exactly what that means, but it looks like the UN shot down some Dolos stuff. That should be giving us a little bit of cause for concern, not gonna lie. Let's go for another probe, and I want to launch one off in this general area. Where is it? There it is. This should be another point of interest that can result in some nice stuff for us. Since we have a spare ship sitting around, we might as well. And with this much science, we can finish out the crop farm and then also go for the optimized quarters afterwards. Something else I really do want to get is the waste treatment center. So far, this waste, for example, right here, has been just getting vented into space. But we can recycle this and turn it into either some polymers, some extra alloys, or a little bit of electronics. There are even some exploits in this game where you can deliberately set up your station to produce ridiculous amounts of waste and process it, and you end up creating more mass than you started with. So it becomes an infinite source of alloys and so on. Kind of ridiculous. I may or may not take advantage of that in this particular series. We will see. Probe is about to arrive. Down over this direction, we find Valiant 71. Let's go ahead and send the Gannet off in this direction. More science to be had is always a good thing. Okay, we've unlocked the crop farm. Cool. Let's go under food, and here's what we're looking for. So this structure right here requires that you place farms next to it in order to actually function. So we need to think through how we want to actually set this up. I could try setting up some farms over here. Farms themselves, the plots are 4x4. So this is where it gets a little bit tricky trying to map out exactly what you're able to fit. For example, I could fit 3 vertically along here. Let's try setting this up right over here. I think this is going to be fine overall, if not a little bit bizarre. It's not perfectly space efficient. There are people who have figured out much better layouts than I have, but I think we'll end up being okay. Let's also send 1 electronic over there. There we go. All right, perfect. Now, one problem with building out the farms is they do take up a lot of alloys to construct. So we might find ourselves very quickly in a situation where I'm not getting enough alloys. Since we have finished with that research, let's go ahead and unlock the optimized quarters. We're having a lot of space issues and homelessness issues, so it would make a lot of sense to get that fixed. We could also just go ahead and build up the alternative life center, but right now my trust is not in much danger. It's going down by 1.9%, yes, and that's not good, but we're okay. We're holding out. Sent another probe, found a whole load of iron and some silicon off in that direction. That'll be helpful. And the farm is finishing now. Perfect. Okay. So with this, we can set down up to 9 crop fields, each of which takes some power, some workers, and 16 alloys. They produce something like 1.2 food per cycle on average, but you do have to wait a full 10 cycles to harvest it, which is a small issue. So I think I want to set it up something kind of like, ooh, this is going to be weird. Like this? Maybe we can do something kind of along these lines. It's hard to tell for sure, but if I could get rid of 1 road, we could fit this here. That's 8. That's not bad. However, we can't afford to place all these down right now, so I don't love this placement and spacing, but I think it's what we're going to work with. Let's just start by placing down 2. That's something at least. That, if we can get that going fast enough, will get me enough food. That will be at least able to tread water until I can afford to build out a lot more. We are going to need to get some upgrades to our power pretty soon, so let's go over here and spend 45 polymers and some electronics to get this sucker rebuilt. That does mean my whole integrity is about to start plummeting now, but oh well, tis what tis. All right, Valiant 71, we're collecting some science here. Let's just take a look at the events. The wreck of the UN warship Huizinga orbits Valiant 71. In a twist of fate, it seems that after hunting down DOLOS survivors, it fell to something even more dangerous than itself. We have a visual on a cluster of UN emergency cryopods drifting toward Valiant 71. If we don't intervene, they'll enter the planet's atmosphere and they will be incinerated. Right, so we could save these people who apparently are hostile to us and were hunting down our corporation. That's a little scary. Why was the UN doing that? I guess they kind of blamed us for the, moon incident. We could rescue them, but we could also not. So if we want to recover materials, that's the thing we can do. Or we could attempt to recover the closest cryopods, and that would also be a thing, but we are not hurting for cryopods. Or we could attempt to recover all of them. This is a trap. Don't do it. It fails, and you lose your science ship. Or we could analyze the wreck, and that's what I'm going to go with because this has a chance at getting me some free technology. Well, okay, not free technology, but it has a way of getting me a new technology unlocked. I think it's under the workshop, or maybe it's the stockpile. It doesn't show it yet, but there is a special technology you can only unlock if you do that event. So that's what I'm going to go for, and we're just going to leave the UN to their fate. And thank God, we do now have access to the optimized quarters. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of some of these preemptive structures. We're going to start building out some new ones over here, and you can see, yeah, they do take the exact same amount of space. Let's pause this one, don't need it. And we should probably try demolishing some of the structures over here, which I know exacerbates the homelessness issue temporarily, but allows us to then send some stuff out over here. People are currently angry because there's too much homelessness. Yeah, understood. We're losing a lot more trust. Let's go ahead and build out the Alternative Life Center. We're gonna fix these issues. I promise we will. Okay, that solves the homelessness issue temporarily. We're gonna move some people over here since we apparently are working extra hours, which triggered an accident, which slows down my food again, which is not good because we're pretty much running out. There we go, solve that. There's the extra hours. How long until people arrive? We have 20 crew moving over here fairly soon. This, by the way, is the button where you can do this. Kind of like transferring resources. You can just say, from Sector 1 to Sector 2, I want to transfer this many people, blah, blah, blah. And since we have the housing, this is going to end up solving our problem. Now, since we need ice in order to get enough water to keep this going, one thing we need to be very aware of is we do need our mining ships to go and gather up the ice. Very, very important. So I'm going to actually take one of these guys and say this is now your top priority. Mine ice so we can bring it back so we can melt it down into water, please and thank you. Around Valiant 71, we do get 15 more science, plus we discover the fire starter upgrade on the workshop. All right, that's all we're able to do. Those people are going to die. Feels bad, but at the same time, they kind of shot at my corporation. I don't know if they would be dissidents. I'm not sure I want them here anyway. Let's resume this construction, by the way. So what's the new technology available under the workshop? It's this one right here. Halves the trust penalty arising from an overload. We don't have that problem right now, but it is something that could be a problem later. Now, we have a little science to spare, and there's a lot of things we want right now. That waste treatment center is extremely tempting to just go ahead and pick it up now. An alternative would be to go to the science ship, and there's actually several different upgrades you can do. Exoskeletons, emergency cryopods, automatic ship repatriation, and deep dive apparatus. Permits gas planet exploration. This is something we actually need. I'm going to go ahead and research this. Why? Because over here around Parentis 85, which I discovered with a probe, this is a gas planet with 30 science on it, which means it pays for itself. Another event over here, okay. People are complaining about smoke. Shut down factories for 10 cycles. Nope, cannot afford to do that. We need polymers, and we desperately need more steel. I really cannot hold on to any more than this. Another farm getting built up. It says that we have enough production. It's just a matter of waiting for some harvests. We could preemptively harvest, but it's a minus 30% penalty if you do that. So I'd really rather not. We've arrived around Parenti 85. I could just start gathering the science before we do anything. I think that's probably the best way to go. We're barely treading water right now, and it's mostly coming down to the complete lack of alloys and food. Food will resolve itself as of 2.3 cycles. That's all we have to do. Steel, definitely harder. I'm going to probably turn off the cryonic center right now. We should have enough workers to go around between that we can go ahead and get some upgrades, so that's going to be fine. But any more people we have to feed is a little bit of a risk. Yeah, and notice that our hull integrity has basically reached equilibrium down here at about 28% or so of our ship's full integrity. So we're just kind of breaking even. We're not going to die, but we're also not looking really good either. What is this event we've got here? Our crew members feel that their quality of life is important to you. The fact that you've had time to provide them with entertainment, alongside with other numerous responsibilities, has led some to believe that you are, in fact, not human. Perhaps instead a new generation PA, or a genetically superior being. We both know that this is nonsense. Did I just start a cult? That'd be awesome if I did. We get 10% extra trust. Well, that undoes some of the damage that was done over here. And notice that just by getting this back into neutral territory, we are making positive amounts of trust. So we're not in any danger right now. We're looking okay. Now, I'm trying to remember what's going to happen here with Parenti. It looks like we are able to set up more infrastructure, and it's going to be very similar to the previous planet. Oh boy. 60 alloys is kind of a lot more than I can afford at the moment. Even though I'm pretty sure this gets me a bucket load of science, I don't think it's worth it right now. So I'm actually going to send the Heisenberg back to the Tiqqun. No, we can't. Right. Of course we can't. Okay. What an annoying situation to be in there. That's probably why we shouldn't have done that. Probes. There should be something else we need over here, I think, including a... There it is. Hang on, right there. That's what we're looking for. There is one of our objectives in this area. Now, I think we can go through here safely. It's just this we can't go through right now. So I'm pretty sure we're okay. Let's just launch the probe, find out what's going on over there. There should be a lot more science there as well. And here comes the first delivery of some food. Thank you very, very, very much. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't know if there's going to be enough food to get over to this area. So we did discover another point of interest, Mac R, with more science. Perfect. So we can't send the Heisenberg anywhere. That's locked down for a while, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and send the Gannett off in this direction and find out what the heck is going on. Still doing okay on things like iron. I think we need to be mining a lot more of our ice. Can someone be dedicated mostly to picking that up, please? Bring that back. We should never, ever, ever run out of ice. We've got enough water to last for a bit, but now ice is almost as important as iron. They are both lifelines to make sure we don't die horrible deaths. We should have arrived, yes, we did, around Mac R over here. So let's take a look at our options. Now, this one I remember being a bit tricky. So probe sensors detected traces of the DOLOS EKP signature near Mac R. Tracking its trajectory, it appears to have entered the planet's atmosphere. Coordinates of a potential crash site have been established. The temperature is extremely low. Reaching the crash site, the Gannett's team found the remains of a science ship frozen in ice. We have some options here. We could thaw the ice by venting the fuel cells. I'm trying to remember exactly what this does. I think you get a special tech, and you get like a lot of science or something along those lines, I think. But I don't remember if you lose the science ship. I think you might lose the ship itself and have to rebuild it. You could drill through the ice, but I don't think this gets you anything extraordinary. And then you could set up the excavation equipment. As a general rule, if you have the option to spend something to get something, it tends to be a better deal. And I'm pretty sure this also gets me the special technology, but we get a decent amount of other resources and stuff as well. So let's go ahead and try for this and set up the excavation equipment. Under research, I was going to say let's go for the waste treatment center right now. But if we go for the accelerated growth, I think that also solves some of our more immediate problems. Let's just do that because it helps me stabilize a lot faster. What is this event? The novelty of eating crops grown in space delights the crew. Even if it's purely perceptual, the turning of the ordinary into the extraordinary can have a profound effect on judgment, elevating the otherwise humble to the sublime. More trusts. Cool. All right, we're nice and stable at 88%. And here comes a lot more food. Finally. All right. One problem solved. What do we finish over here with Mac R? We get 45 polymers and 45 science out of this. Not bad. All usable components from the wreckage have been conditioned and prepared for extraction. The Gannett's team was able to recover data that revealed the cause of the science ship's crash. Named the Ammerplace, this ship belonged to the second-generation Taurus-class superstructure Protagoras. Following some sort of an attack by the UN ship, it attempted an emergency landing. Coming in too fast, it was almost entirely vaporized on impact. We also get a new tech, high-quality lubricants available. All right, well, that should be everything we need, but let's gather up that science first. I am curious what exactly that new technology does. There it is. We need to have access to Tier 3 first, but mechs build up buildings 25% faster. With the discovery of the attack on the Protagoras, many of the crew's theories about the UN's animosity towards Dolos has been confirmed. The crew is shaken as if they are struck with a seal of banishment. Yup, so we lose, you guessed it, more stability, and our trust goes down even further. Blech! Blech! This is not good. This is not good at all. And there's not a lot I can do about it aside from maybe tossing some of these cryonic pods into space so we can stop having that penalty, which would be very tempting. Over here, people are angry. Yeah, we should probably fix that and try to boost up our stability by getting an alternative life center or something. But that's going to take resources I literally do not have over here, so that's going to be a bit of a problem, isn't it? I'm going to research this waste treatment center because this is a very good way of getting some extra alloys or something else out of our waste, which again is currently just stacking up and going to waste. It's waste. That's what happens. I'm trying to plan out a bit more of Sector 2 based on what I think I'm going to need. It's kind of hard to find some good spacing. We could place the alternative life center over here. This leaves me a bit more space to fit something, in addition to probably having a road that comes up over this way to maybe some housing like this. So I guess I could try to fit something semi-big right here. And then if I place down another farm with a whole load of crops here, and these are just stockpiles for placeholders since they're the same size, I can mostly take advantage of this area right here without too much trouble. So this kind of works. I might not even need a road here, really, now that I think about it. Farms don't need to have access. They all go to the crop farm. And we could also fit a steel mill over here with some more stockpiles so I can boost up more production, which does seem like a wise thing to do as long as we've got enough power and enough people. Okay, now, unfortunately, building out the alternative life center was not sufficient to fix our problems with our stability. We'd be fine if I didn't have so many unopened cryonic pods. How are we doing on food? Really good. It's time to go ahead and start opening some of these again, but that means we're working extra hours, which means I should turn something off. We don't need the electronics. We can turn that one off, and we don't need the silicon. I can turn that one off, and that brings us back where we need to be. I'm transferring some people over here to Sector 2 in preparation, because once I get enough alloys together, I do want to build out this steel mill. I think that's going to make my life a whole lot easier if I can double up on alloy production, because once we do that, we should be completely fine. And in fact, if I want to dismantle a couple of these insect farms, that would be enough to get enough alloys transferred over here to get this thing built. That makes sense. Is there anything I can shut down over here? Yes. The one thing I can shut down is another one of these insect farms. We're claiming some much-needed alloys. I've got 35 more people transferring over here. Let's turn this off temporarily before it becomes... Oh, and we immediately had an accident. Well, that kind of figures. Working too many hours over here, but people are on the way. If we can just finish building out this, we'll have the housing I need. Somebody died in an accident. Yeah, and this is where the accidents are bad. Okay. No, we're recovering. We'll be all right. Oh, great. And an accident at a tech lab shuts down 13 more people. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, that's great. That's fantastic. How many workers do we have at each of these? 8. Okay, so we can afford to transfer at least a few more people. I can fit up to 8 more over here. That's exactly what we're going to do. Send 8 more people over. That maxes out housing. We have more space to continue filling things out with the cryonic center. And how are we looking on food? Says we're still producing enough, and that's before I even have a chance at building up the crop field. What confuses me is after moving over 35 crew, we still don't have enough people for this. I'm shy by quite a lot, actually. We must have moved over some non-workers. That must have been what happened. And as a result, we're not looking good over here. Okay, best thing to do is to move more workers over here then, if we can, and ideally some non-workers out of here, because they don't belong. They're taking up housing space that, quite frankly, I don't have available. Unless, of course, I want to commit to knocking something down and building out another house. Which I've done. Another house solves some problems there. Okay, so we've got the capacity. I just need to bring over a lot more workers. Like, a lot more. Good news is I've got 30 free workers available in Sector 1. So let's try this again. Population management, not any crew, only workers from Sector 1 to Sector 2. Bring over 30 of them. 30 workers is a lot to lose, but it should end up being okay. Then I can turn on the steel mill. Then we officially will be back on track. And as long as I don't screw up, we'll be all right. Anything else I feel like I need to be looking for out here? There are plenty more points of interest, but I've been so focused on trying to get stuff set up over here, I haven't been worrying about the rest of the sector. And that's a little on the risky side. How are we doing here? At least we're neutral again. So this is looking a little bit better. And then if we can just boost up some quarter type to optimize quarters, we'll actually gain another stability back here in Sector 1. And that will be enough to solve, I'm hoping, more of my trust issues. I just need, you guessed it, a lot of alloys. Now we can turn you on. Yes, it loses a lot of power, but that's fine. Now we're using some of our iron, and bada boom, we're producing alloy. Let's not forget, we also would love to set up a second EVA airlock at some point, which will allow us to start repairing the hull a lot more, and we'll want to do that before we move on to Chapter 2. But it took this whole time, I think, for us to get back to a point where I think we have reached a period of sustainability. Now it's a matter of waking up enough people to turn on more industry, start producing things like my own electronics. That could be kind of nice for us. Continue boosting out our food, though we're actually full on that at the moment. And continue exploring the sector in relative peace. We're doing all right now. That's a good place for us to end this video. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If so, I would ask you to hit that like button, leave a comment, subscribe, make sure you hit that notify bell, and I will see you guys next time.